If you read the Bible, God does not deal in confusion, he deals in continuity.
Okay.
From generation to generation.
Let them know.
When we meet Jesus, we first meet his genealogy.
Come on now.
Because the struggle continues from generation to generation.
All right.
And I want to bring on a young man who I've known and have watched grown, who has stood shoulder to shoulder as a young man in the generation behind me. I grew up under Andy Young and Jesse Jackson and others. He's grown up and is coming his own as a powerful preacher and a powerful voice from the empowerment movement, Reverend Jamal Harrison.
Thank you, sir. Floridians, friends, and countrymen, lend me your ear. One of the seminal moments of the Harlem Renaissance was when Langston Hughes declared, well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up. And I wanted to come to Florida to announce to you what you already know, is that boards have been torn up. And what it is that we believe would make our children safe is not safe. We come and we're grateful for the presence of NOW standing with us as a reflection that this is not just a black issue, it's an American issue. And that all of us are on the front line. Every person who is here assembled understands the power of a mother's prayer. And anybody who has a mother and has ever been in trouble knows it was your mother's prayer that was able to bring you through. And as a consequence, we stand on the strength of Sabrina. We stand on the strength of Jordan's mother. We stand on the strength of those who in fact went before us, realizing that their children had an obligation and a liberty to be free. A few moments ago, Reverend Sharpton reminded us of Emmett Till, who in fact was killed viciously and heinously just because he whistled. And as a consequence, they maimed his body. And when it is that they were sending the body back to Chicago in order for it to be funeralized, it was his mother who said, open the casket. I want America to see what they did to our son. And ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the state capitol simply to open the casket. To let them know we are not going to allow these murders to go on covered up, but they have to see what it is that they have done. There was another mother by the name of Fannie Lou Hamer who said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And we've come because, quite frankly, we are sick and tired. It was, in fact, our intention to be here on last Monday. But because of how it is that we had to reschedule, we had to come this Monday. Ecclesiastes reminds us that there is nothing new under the sun. And because of that, nothing happens by accident. On this day, March the 10th, 1913, we would hallmark the death of Harriet Tubman. But on this day, March the 10th, 2014, we announced the birth of the new civil rights movement. That this is not the time for us to roll over and play dead, but this is the time for us to stand strong and to stand tall. Yesterday was the anniversary of Bloody Sunday. Today hallmarks for us Mourning Monday. But the good news for all of us is we know that weeping only endures for a night, but joy has to come in the morning. Originally, it was not Stand Your Ground. Originally, it was called the Castle Law. But they had to change the name of it because how could it be a castle law if they don't recognize the king? And the reason why we're here is because we understand he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities, and the chastisement of our peace is upon his shoulders, and by his stripes we are healed. We're thankful for the presence of our congresswoman who would in fact know that there is an emergency session that has just been released because they just dispatched CIA and FBI agents to fly halfway around the world to go and investigate Malaysian Airlines because Flight 237 has in fact lost its bearing. They took off, but they don't know where they are. An investigation is afoot. How can 237 people take off and not be found? how 237 people who had a ticket not be able to make it to their destination. An investigation is afoot because they can't find their baggage. They can't find their ID. All they know is that they took off, but they never landed. Another generation has now come, and we want to know what has happened to the civil rights movement. We saw you take off, but there is no landing. Somebody is missing. And the question is asked, what happened to the church? The church that used to be on the front line praying for us. The church that used to be on the front line not talking about Bentleys and Mercedes and big houses, but talking about the advancement of our people. What happened to the church? The question is asked, what happened to our leaders? Our leaders who understood they weren't doing it for popularity or for headlines, but they sang the original gangster music. Before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. What happened to the generation before us that traded in their dashikis for red bottoms and Louis Vuitton? What happened to the generation that understood it wasn't about suburban living, but it was about the advancement of all of our people? Somehow or another, the plane has gone missing. But I came to tell Florida, please don't think that we're going to be missing for long. I come not in the spirit of Trayvon, not in the spirit of Jordan. I came in the spirit of Marissa to tell Florida and the governor, this is your warning shot. That this is our last time playing nice. We've got to call into a place of accountability. I stand, ladies and gentlemen. Sir Walter Riley said, you see further when you stand on the shoulders of giants. Bishop Adam Jefferson Richardson, who is behind me, understood and knew my grandfather of sainted memory, Bishop Harrison James Bryant, whose name I share. And he endeavored to become a bishop in the AME church 3 times. And every time he tried to become elected, they would not elect him. He decided to run one last time. And he came to the general conference of the AME church and he made this announcement, I'm walking in my last pair of shoes. I can't walk after this. You're going to have to elect me or I'm going to have to do something. I came to tell the state of Florida, this is my last pair of shoes. I marched when I was in Sanford. I marched in Miami. I marched in Fort Lauderdale. I marched a mile and a half just to get here. But I want you to know there's a generation that's tired of marching. This is our last pair of shoes. And we're going to have to do something to put the squeeze on. And so because this is an American issue and not just an African American issue, I'm grateful and I hope our president is having a great vacation in Florida. But please know this may be his last vacation in Florida, because if something doesn't happen, we're going to have to shut Florida down. Something is going to have to transpire and something is going to have to take place because the squeeze is on. And so I'm thankful for our representatives Williams and Smith, who have in fact offered a piece of legislation so that we can in fact amend and reform the Stand Your Ground law. Yes, sir. But I need every person in this room who believes that our children have a right to life. Yes. Our children have a right to walk home. Our children have a right to education. Our children have a right to affordable health care. Our children have a right to be in college and not incarcerated. Would you declare out loud, the squeeze is on? Anytime the book declares in the new Jim Crow that the new plantation, ladies and gentlemen, is now our Department of Corrections. There are, as I speak, 1 million black men behind bars. More black men are behind bars in America than there are in the entire continent of Africa. The squeeze is on. They didn't mind as long as we were dribbling basketballs and throwing footballs. But as soon as we got to the White House, the game changed. The squeeze is on. They are, in fact, threatened because they understood if Trayvon Martin and Jordan Davis ever got to FAMU, they would, in fact, be a dangerous vehicle they would be a BMW, a black man working. The squeeze is on. They understood something is powerful behind a black man that knows how to think and articulate and stand. That we're not here tap dancing and playing no Uncle Tom. We're standing to declare we gotta go forward ever and backward never. The squeeze is on. It would be a scathing injustice. 2 years ago when we got the call about Trayvon Martin, Reverend Sharpton and I were marching from Selma to Montgomery. And Joseph Lowry said something that offended and unnerved me. He said, Jamal, your generation has done nothing for the movement. You are, in fact, enjoying the benefits without knowing the sacrifice. You're able to shop where you want. You're able to live where you want. You're able to be educated where you want. And if, in fact, you have benefit with no sacrifice, you're nothing more than spoiled. And as a consequence, we raised the spoiled generation of Negroes who believe that they are where they are because of SAT scores. They think they are where they are because of an essay. They think they are where they are because they are part of a Greek-lettered organization. But I came to tell you the reason why you're here is because somebody prayed for you. Somebody had you on their mind. Somebody took the time. And I'm so glad that they prayed. Marching is good. And Reverend Sharpton often reminds me, Jamal, don't tell me you tired of marching and your generation didn't march. Please don't, in fact, say y'all got to do something else when it is that marching is what got us to this point. And I believe, yes, we already have the paradigm of what got us here. But those of you who are familiar with Scripture understand that whenever God blesses, He changes with every generation. The previous generation had to come across the Red Sea, but the next generation had to come across the Jordan. And so I want to thank the previous generation for parting the Red Sea. And I want to thank you for lifting up your staff so that we could walk across. But a new generation is now standing up. A new generation is assuming the baton. A new generation is now standing on the ground. And so we're grateful for Nan being here. We're grateful for the National Bar Association. We're grateful for Now being here. We're grateful for the pastors who are here. We're grateful for the educators and the parents who are here. But notice there are some people who are not here. And today we issue a warning shot. I issue a warning shot because I've been doing investigation about what's being served on the missing plane. And on the missing plane, ladies and gentlemen, is Tropicana orange juice. Wow. I want to give a warning to Tropicana orange juice even right now that since Trayvon Martin's verdict came back, you received a profit of $8 billion. Over this last quarter, you have, in fact, been able to grow into a place of 13% of Pepsi's revenue. You are, in fact, in every major urban community, but you have not given to any civil rights organization or to any foundation. So today is my warning shot. I just want to put the squeeze on. And so if you have your phone, I want you to pull your phone out now, please. There's got to be something after the march. Because it is, ladies and gentlemen, not just a march, it's a launch. It's not just a march, it's a launch. It's not just a march, it's a launch. It's not just a march, it's a launch. Florida is also known for Cape Canaveral. And something is going to have to take off. I want every person, if you will, I want you to write this number down, please. 1-800-237-7799. 1-800-237-7799. 1-800-237-7799. For the slow class, 1-800-237-7799. Now they messed around. I found out that you are not going to get a computer on that number. That is the customer service number of Tropicana. That is, in fact, headquarters in Bradenton, Florida. Why did you choose them? Because they declare they're 100% Florida. Well, if you wore 100% of Florida, you got to be for Trayvon, you got to be for Jordan, and you got to be for Marissa. This is not a boycott, Reverend Sharpton, I'm calling for. I'm calling for you to call them and ask them to stand with us to call for the repealing and the amendment of Stand Your Ground. Please listen to me. Tropicana is owned by Pepsi. The 3 highest paid people endorsed by Pepsi are Kanye West, Ludacris, and Beyonce. I'm not asking you to tear up your contract. I want you to feed your children. But I do want you, while you get that check, to please stand with us to stand our ground. I want you to lock down the phones of Tropicana from here until April the 4th. But that ain't the only call I want you to make. I don't know whether you realize it or not, we're in Florida. And so it is a small world after all. I want you to please call Disney World. Y'all, I thought y'all came for a real revolution. I want you to please call Disney World. Here is the number where you're going to be able to get the office of the president. 407-824-2222, extension 1. 407-824-2222, extension 1. 407 for the slow class. 824-2222. You are calling Disney World. They claim that they care for children. Great. Do you care for black children? Do you care for inner city children? Do you care for children who can't afford $100 tickets? It is a small world after all. The revolution will be televised on MSNBC, Fox, and the Tom Joyner Morning Show. I want you to please lock down every phone until we get a stand-up. Now, so that they do not think we're operating out of emotionalism, what it is that I'm calling for today, so that they do not act as if they're caught off guard, I faxed a letter to the president of Tropicana and the chair of the board of Disney at 9 o'clock this morning, giving them a warning shot that this was coming. They have until April the 4th to call us to say that they're willing to meet, to in fact discuss how they can lend assistance so that we can repeal this law. April the 4th, why, Pastor Bryant? Because that is the anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King, another black man that was senselessly killed, who in fact lost his life because he was standing for a dream and standing for a vision. Tropicana and Disney, this is your warning shot. I need to hear from you by April the 4th, or else there won't be no movies this summer. There will not be any endorsements this summer, and the small world is going to start crumbling down, and Tropicana, you're going to feel the squeeze. You got until April the 4th. On April the 7th, we begin economic sanctions because Florida responds to money. Florida understands that money answereth all things. And for you black Negroes who got amnesia, it was a boycott that ended segregation. We ain't getting on the bus. We getting off the missing plane to let Florida know that the struggle still continues. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this session of the Florida House ends on May 2nd. And if, in fact, we have no resolve, we're going to have to come right back here. Congresswoman, we understand we didn't know Bull Connor. We did not know J. Edgar Hoover, but we do know Attorney Corey. And we want to remind her that Richard Niebuhr said that a politician can only do what the people allow them to do. And Attorney Corey, we are watching you. We want you to understand we have never seen Jim Crow in drag, but we need you to please come to yourself and realize you are killing your own people. It was when they were trying to kill Moses that they gave the instruction to the midwives. Kill the black boys before they come out. But the midwives said, we can't kill them. They come out too fast. Aren't you glad our black boys are getting ready to come out too fast? They're coming out of Bethune-Cookman. They're coming out of Florida Memorial. They're coming out of FAMU. They're coming out of Morehouse. They're coming out of Howard. They're coming out of North Carolina A&T. And the squeeze is on.
Jamal Bryant. As we get ready to close, at 4 o'clock this afternoon, we want to be